We are going to discuss Ozymandias by Shelley. In this section, we are just going to talk about a little about the poet. Okay. Now, in this poem, Shelley is looking at the human nature and tackling some of the common and base insights. Although Shelley is a romantic, but the way he has tackled the topic of arrogance in this poem is remarkable. Shelley was born in 1792 and he died in 1822. He is one of the major English romantic poets and he is considered one of the finest lyric poets in the English language. His poems, he created a kind of revolution in the English poetry. He is perhaps best known for such classic poems as Ozymandias, Ode to the West Wind, To a Skylark, Music, When Soft Voices Die, and The Cloud, and The Mask of Anarchy. His other major works include long visionary poems such as Queen Mab, Alastair, and The Revolt of Islam. Now let's look at the major themes of his works. The first theme, which is a trademark of the Romantics, is restlessness, rebellion against authority, power of the visionary imagination, and pursuit of ideal love. And he has shown his untamed spirit in search of freedom. Shelley's ideas, embodied in his verse, poem, and life, remain as a kind of a challenge to us. They actually gear us to achieve a higher potential and to always aspire for goals which are not commonplace. And these goals, they are for the betterment of society and for ourselves as well. He symbolizes the free and the soaring spirit of humankind. Ozymandias, this poem, it was published in 1818. And Ozymandias, he is one of the Egyptian pharaohs. It describes the wretched condition of his statue, which was lying in the desert. This man, this king, he was a proud and unkind person to his subjects. The theme of Ozymandias is contrasting the inevitable decline of all leaders and of the empires they build with the lasting power of art, the only thing that has some permanence. We can relate this poem and the way Ozymandias is treated after his death to many of the leaders of the present world. There are so many big names in human history which thought that they were next to God, but now no one knows them, no one recognizes them. It is a very ironic poem which describes the pride of a man and the wretched realities of life. All feelings of superiority and supremacy in man are nothing more than an illusion and a self-deception. With the passage of time, all joys of a man come to an end, and death brings an end to this life, and it acts as a great destroying force. The poet is conveying us the message that if a man wants to become superior, he should remain humble, down to earth, and he must love and serve human beings. In this part, we are going to look at the word meanings and paraphrasing of first stanza of the poem Ozymandias. With the help of these words and meanings, you will be able to explain the poem. Ancient is antique, trunkless, without body. Shattered is broken. Visage is face. Frown is an angry look. Wrinkled is creased skin. Sneer is scorn. Sculptor is an artist who makes statues or carves in stone. Passions are emotions. Survive is to last. Stamped is printed. And mock is to make fun of. Now, over here, the poet is talking about a traveler whom he meets. The traveler has come back after visiting some ancient region, and they are talking about his travels. The traveler tells him that he saw a broken statue of a king in the desert. He tells the poet that he saw two huge stone legs standing in a desert, and near those legs was lying the broken body of the same statue, half buried in sand. The picture that the traveler is painting is quite horrifying. The traveler tells him that he had seen a huge but ruined statue where only the legs remain standing, the face and the body, they are sunk in sand. The traveler over here is not talking about the magnificence of the king whose statue was made. He is talking about the great work of art or the great work of the sculptor. He says that the sculptor has been able to capture the passions of the king. The statue doesn't correspond to that of a common man, but is of the great king Ozymandias. The statue of the king, it depicts the expressions of arrogance, contempt, cruelty, even today. His face shows fear and scorn, and his lips are curled as if he is mocking at someone. The artist who made this statue has become more powerful than the king whose statue he made. The thing that has survived are the artist's record of the king's passion carved or preserved into the stone. The statue indeed is a work of a very skillful and expert artist. However, both the king and the sculptor, they have died centuries ago. The feelings that the sculpture put into the stone, they are a living testimonial of the great skill of the artist. It reminds us of the heart which these feelings arrived might have stopped palpitating, and the artist has died, but the feelings, they have been preserved in stone for all the times to come. The works that were to be the desire of other pharaohs have completely disappeared. Even the gigantic statue of himself that he had commissioned is reduced to just two legs, a shattered face, and a pedestal. The face of this king, it shows the true character, and it depicts the feelings of pride, cruelty, hatred, mercilessness, and contempt for his own people.
Stand to them and focus left to you. Thank you. Action.
In the second stanza of the poem, Ozymandias, we are going to look at the word meanings and the explanation. Mocked is to make fun of, pedestal is the base of column, mighty is powerful, despair is disappointment, decay is ruin, colossal is something very big or huge, wrecked is destroyed, and boundless is without any boundary, very vast, stretch far away, widely spread. Now, as in the first stanza we read that the poet was talking to the traveler. This talk continues to the second stanza. And the man who saw the king's statue in the desert found some statement inscribed on it. It said, "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair." These lines show the arrogant nature of the king. The person who was once a king is no more. Nothing was there except the endless, merciless, and vast desert. God does not like proud people who boast of their superiority. He brings them down. The people who are humble are always rewarded with God's grace, and they are remembered for their kindness to other human beings. Now, the fine beginning of the discussion between the traveller and the poet, it is followed by a condensed and vigorous account of what the traveller saw in addition to the two huge legs standing in the desert, a shattered visage and a pedestal, and on it a boastful inscription. Nothing more remains in the desert. Everything is empty. Shelley puts up the words of this inscription in an effectively ironic contrast with the surroundings. The words boast of the work of the king, but that work cannot be seen anywhere. Now, if Shelley was writing about this poem or about any king now, he might have made a reference to one of the world leaders, Saddam Hussein. After Saddam was removed from his government, his statue was also overthrown. The hand that mocked them tells of his disdain to serve his subjects. His hands, they were not serving the people. They were actually making fun of his subjects. And heart that fed, it indicates that he brought terror and dread to the people. There was no sympathy in his heart for his people, for his subjects. The ironic tone of the poem mocks the king's greatness, turning into dumps the pride followed by a downfall. The mocking hand is actually that of the sculptor now, who had the artistic ability to mock at the passions of the king. The heart is first of all the king's, which fed the sculptor's passion, and in turn the sculptors sympathetically recapturing the king's passion into stone. The once great king's proud boast has been ironically disproved. Ozymandias' works have crumbled and disappeared. His civilization is gone. All has been turned to dust and to ashes by the impersonal, indiscriminate, and destructive power of time and history. The ruined statue is now merely a monument to one man's hubris and a powerful statement about the insignificance of human beings to the passage of time. Ozymandias, it is a kind of metaphor for a person who thinks of himself as near or akin to Almighty, but all of this is leveled to death by time. The poet also talks about human vanity in the poem. It is not just only the mighty who desire to withstand time. It is common for everyone to seek immortality and to resist death and decay.